And the Obama administration at this point has used the Espionage Act. I believe it's at least two times more. What is it? They've used it 6 or 7 times.
6 times, which is more total than all previous administrations put together.
It's
as
it's
Bill
double.
Keller from the New York Times, yeah.
It's double.
All
And
previous administrations. Now, you can argue, this point or that point, but that's, again, a fact staring us in the face that needs to be talked about. Now, why is it important? Again, right, left, center. How is our money being spent? Where is it being spent? What are the laws that are being broken? What are the moral codes that are being broken? Is the money making us safer in national security, or is it being used to profit and protect institutions? And we're not going to find out from these institutions.
And it's interesting because we have seen also now the imprisonment of the CIA agent who reported essentially who blew the whistle on torture.
John Kuroku.
And of course those people who engaged in the torture, who ordered the torture, and this gains even more relevance now. Last week we saw the release of a report by the Constitution Project, headed by Asa Hutchinson and former Congressman Jones, which said unequivocally that we tortured, unequivocally that it was systemic, unequivocally that it came from the highest levels of the U.S. government. Speaking of the Bush administration, and yet none of those people have faced any accountability. There is a wide consensus in this country that torture is wrong. Certainly, by all legal standards, it is illegal. Yet the whistleblower is in jail. I mean, what? And you also tell the story, I should say, of Thomas Tam, who worked at the Justice Department and essentially provided the whistleblowing on the illegal NSA wiretapping that was taking place, the warrantless wiretapping. So, all right. So we have like almost two different types of whistleblowers that are being attacked here. Some that are revealing the overreach of the government in terms of our civil liberties, and some that are basically just coming out and saying, "Hey, there's a tremendous amount of fraud or waste going on here." In both instances, we're seeing the security and secrecy apparatus used against them. I mean, I think your analogy of a middle manager is quite apt. I mean, I think everyone here can understand that if their boss had some type of secret code at their company. I work at Verizon, and we have a national Verizon secrecy doctrine. We're going to use that anytime you start telling people that I'm taking 3-hour lunches to get drunk or something. That's basically what we're seeing here in many respects.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And so, I mean, what do you think? What you mentioned that you expressed that in some ways the Obama administration is a victim of this national security apparatus. Is it growing? I mean, what's happening that the Obama administration and Obama, who came into office at least expressing a problem with these issues of warrantless wiretapping and secrecy and wanted more transparency, what is happening to that apparatus that it actually seems to be gaining exponentially more power?
Well, it's a couple of interlocking things. One is its size and scope, as we say in the film, and Dana Priest and Bill Arkin in their groundbreaking series of articles and books point out. The national security state monitors routinely 1.6 billion emails every day. National security state has buildings size of 3 Pentagons put together. And on and on and on. So that's, a mere indicator of its size. You would think, well, the president comes in and he can do whatever he wants. Well, part of our job, as we've seen from our friends in the immigrant and the LGBT community, is to push the president. This is an issue that he needs pushing on. Dana Priest, Jane Mayer talk in the film about the president getting too close to the CIA, taking his job on as being in alignment with the CIA, rather than understanding and realizing that these secrets are not going to make us safer. He does take his job seriously. We may disagree with him a lot about being commander, making our country safer, but keeping these secrets in no shape or form of any kind makes us safer. It has the opposite effect. And that's why in the film, we have people across the political spectrum calling this issue out.
And you also spend a lot of time in the film talking to a lot of journalists who, lest we and discuss the chilling effect that it's taken on journalists, and I don't think people really fully grasp that. Talk a little bit about that, because you also you mention in the film the sort of the legal issues that James Risen is having. We hear from a lot of different journalists that this is actually having a real impact on not just the sort of the wholesale level in terms of the whistleblowers, but on the retail level of the journalists.
Yeah, well, the journalists, as I was saying before, are critical to get the message out. Without them, we wouldn't hear about these stories. They would die a death within the institutions. So the journalists are critical, and what the journalists tell us, and we've got an amazing group of journalists who are not in the habit of speaking out, by the way, because journalists don't advocate. And one of the things I hope people will do with the film will be to screen it and use it to advocate. So we have Jane Mayer from the New Yorker, and Dana Priest from the Washington Post, and Mike Issacar from MSNBC, and David Carr and Bill Keller from the New York Times, and Cy Hirsch, who everybody knows and should know. And each of them talks in different ways, in different language, different experiences about the effect that this crackdown has, that it's harder to get sources on the phone. It's harder to talk to people. Jane talked about doing a story and, having to fly around the country and strange hotel rooms to interview people because of the level of fear that's engendered when they come after you. Tom Drake, as you've mentioned, was cited under the Espionage Act.
And of course, you cover how these whistleblowers' lives have been ruined, and the legal bills that a lot of these journalists deal with. Let me ask you: do you think that there is more paranoia within this national security apparatus, in some respects, because a whistleblower today has far more avenues to get the message out, is less isolated from the public in some respects than they were even 10 years ago? I mean, I'm thinking specifically of it was DeCourt's, I guess it was DeCourt's YouTube, and this provides a sort of I guess an avenue for whistleblowers that didn't exist 10 years ago.
Yes, well, that's true. There definitely are avenues and ways to get it out, but those same avenues also exist for the national security state, for the FBI, and for others to spy, listen, crack down, gain access to your emails and your phone calls. So it's definitely works both ways. There's there are opportunities to get things out, and there is the fear that they can find you and track you no matter where and how.
I mean, I guess I'm thinking of that fateful scene at the end of the 3 Days of the Condor, where Max von Sydow says to Robert Redford, "You tell them a story." Speaking of the Times, but how do you know they print it? What will happen to you if they don't print it? Today, Robert Redford would say, "Then I'll put it on YouTube and send it to BuzzFeed."
Yes, that's absolutely the good news. The problem is they're trying to scare people into not using those sources and those possibilities that are available to get the word out.
And let me ask you, Robert, I mean, we've, I've interviewed you many times over the years. I mean, since I think people know that you used to be that you used to make more entertainment-based films. I mean, you did the Steal This Movie, the Abby Hoffman film. So you clearly always had, some sort of political interest and proclivities. And in fact, I don't know if you remember, I know I've told you the story on air, but I was very close to getting the reporter role, but apparently you put a Canadian in there. to shoot it up in Vancouver. Now, we've talked about in the past. I've let that go.
Worst professional mistake I've made.
Yes, I understand, but we're both living with the implications of it. But I mean, as you've done now almost like 8, I think it is, documentaries since that time, and has your perspective on our politics changed in terms of what you see is the fundamental problems that we're dealing with?
I think I've become more aware of the systemic structural issues. The more I work on the films and the more that we try to connect the dots, then the dots jump out at us more. And I don't think it's clearer and clearer to me that it's not a question of electing individual candidates. It is a question of social movements that create the change, that pressure the candidates, no matter who they are. And the social movements that take on the structural issues of economic inequality, of the wars and how we get into them, of what our society has become. And I'm thrilled to have been able to make these films, and as long as the support continues from listeners, we have small funders, big funders, and foundations. The amazing team at Brave New Films Foundation, we have plans to continue to do more of these, which continue to say this is how it works. And I think that's something in in an insane media environment that's sadly lacking. This is how it works. This leads to this, leads to this. And so that, the best emails I get or tweets that I get over and over again are people appreciative of being able to understand something better. And from the understanding, I think, comes action.
Robert Greenwald from Brave New Films at bravenewfilms.org. We will put a link up to your latest film, the War on Whistleblowers. And I'm sorry, I had it right in front of me. The War on Whistleblowers, Free Press, and the National Security State. And again, folks, we're going to put a link up, and Brave New Films is offering you the DVD for free if, on your honor, you will basically hold a screening so that more people can see the film. It's a very important film. It's and I appreciate your taking the time to talk to us about it today, Robert.
Thank you, Sam. It's great to be back on the air with you.